the Gifted Ones, and I'm your host, Liz Throp. Today's guest is Amber Price, and I'm super pumped because we're actually going to be discussing a topic that's kind of close for both of us that we experience on a daily basis. But for you, you probably, aren't really aware of the importance of it. It's energy, your energy and the energy of others. So today is going to be all about discussing things that are going to make an impact in your life. So have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt really uncomfortable and you couldn't really put your finger on it? Or maybe you've walked into a room and you've met somebody and it's been like you've known them your whole life and instantly felt amazing around that person. Sometimes some of us will find ourselves in an argument or a debate and we'll be left feeling physically ill after it. These are things that that can happen to the everyday person, and they're not aware that it's energy that we can control, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what this show is about today. So let me introduce our beautiful guest, Miss Amber Price. Amber is a highly sought after international psychic medium, spiritual growth coach, life coach, Reiki practitioner, speaker, and host of the Spiritual Excellence Halo Awards. She's located in Niagara Falls, Canada. Amber's media appearances include Country 89, this show, of course, The Gifted Ones. You were one of my first on the show. 4680Q, Your City, Your Voice, CRNC, The Heat, and will now be featured every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on the A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV with her show and the host of Sapphire Souls. Amber is listed as top 10 psychic in the 2019 Reader's Choice Awards Hamilton Spectator, the Toronto Star, the St. Catharines Standard, Welland Tribune, and Niagara Falls Review. As a member of Spiritual Niagara 2019, Amber was a featured speaker at the Women of Wisdom event and was awarded the Medium Award. She also appeared with organizations such as Psychic Kids United, Spiritual Niagara, and will be featured as a speaker and the medium for the 2020 Unleash Your Greatness Conference. That's going to be amazing.
Yes, I'm excited.
Amber recently appeared at an Evening of Spirit with Jay Lane and James Van Praagh, providing their welcoming and introductions at one of their venues for their Canadian tour. How exciting. You will find Amber working in her community and with fundraising and volunteering. She's providing workshops, seminars, and more recently, she's launched her own online courses and hosting the next Spiritual Halo Gala Awards in 2020, where she honors and acknowledges the spiritual successes of individuals and groups that continue to make an input in the spiritual community. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz.
Such a great topic because we are friends.
Yes.
Right? So we have conversations like this all the time, and when we talked about coming back on the show, and this would be just the perfect conversation.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So let's start so that the folks at home can sort of get a handle of what this is about. What exactly is the difference between positive and negative energy?
So as you mentioned, positive energy can make you feel uplifted and happy, fulfilled. And I kind of relate it to if you were expecting, Halloween or your birthday or, a long lost friend coming to see you. It's like that happy, excited, really like good vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
Positive vibes. And so negative energy is exactly that. It's negative. And so you might feel physically ill. You might get headaches, upset stomach. You might start shaking. You might have your balance go off. Basically, it is you're picking up on energy that's not for your highest good. And it could be given to you intently or non-intentional, right? So the example that I like to use for negative energy might be something like, if anybody has ever walked into, unfortunately, I've had my fair share, but we've walked into a funeral home and you get that thickness or the sadness, or you're getting that energy. Or maybe you've just been in a car accident and you've got that anxious and the nervousness and the shaking, trembling. So anything that kind of makes you feel not great would be the negative aspect. And the positive would be everything that makes you feel amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's look at why is it important to protect what we put out and receive energetically? Why is that important?
You know what? And this is something that comes with practice. You really, really have to be mindful. Like, you really have to set the intention that you're going to really watch what energy that you're putting out into the universe. And I mean, you could essentially wake up every day and it can be an effort for you to want to be happy or smile or, get going. I know
it happens for so many folks.
Yeah. And I'm not a morning person, so it takes me a few minutes. So it's like, don't talk to mom for 15 minutes.
Let me get my coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the lighter side of it, but other people are struggling with different things. And so their drive to put anything out there is taking every ounce of energy that they have to get going. Maybe somebody is chronically ill, severe pain every day, that kind of thing. So when you are putting out energy, you should be mindful of it, because what you put out is what you'll get back. So have you ever watched this happen? Like, I've watched this happen. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So you go and you're like, good morning, I'd like a tea today, thank you, and then the person at the, right behind you is like, oh my God, and mad, and they're, all upset about
They're hanging
something.
out in the bitter barn.
And then now the person they were dealing with is now bitter. And now, so all of a sudden, the next 15 people that come in are now joining the bitter barn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so it's just the same thing with the positive energy. So if, you've got a friendly stranger that holds the door open for you and they smile, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to hold the door open for the next person.
Exactly.
So, energy is spreading like wildfire. So it's better to put out the positive energy so you get it back, because at the end of the day, you're going to have a way better experience and a way better feeling health-wise as well, emotionally, mentally, physically, if you're putting out the positive to receive the positive.
Exactly. And one of the things I find when you find yourself in a negative energy, I kind of see people getting comfortable there.
Yeah.
Right? Like they get very comfortable in that misery or that frustration or that anger. And snapping out of it is not as easy as one would think it should be.
That's right.
And so, what you suggested is be mindful of what you're putting out, because it's like that energy begets that energy.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Where if you're playing a victim, you're definitely going to draw in more victim energy, but your mindset's going to be playing on, I need to confirm that I'm being victimized.
Yes.
So I need to have more negative coming at me, or I'm going to see only the negative in a situation. Right?
That's right. Yeah. And you know what? We talk about it being comfortable in that spot because the fear of what if I'm happy comes into play. So now we're like, oh my God, everything is going amazing. Wait for it. What's actually coming?
That's my fear, right? We were just talking about that the other day. Like, that's exactly what I do to myself. So,
and it's hard to get out of that, because you would rather be on guard and have your boxing gloves up and then be able to ward off anything that's coming. But at the same time, you're going to bring it. You're bringing it. You're bringing all that stuff towards you.
Exactly.
So, it's very much better to kind of get up and you stop the cycle too. Like, as soon as you see that you're noticing, okay, that person affected that person and now that person's upset, be that one that stops the cycle and be like, okay, suck it up. Take that deep cleansing breath, bite your tongue, smile, have a great day, kind of, and just get going. But you can stop that cycle and be responsible. Take personal accountability for this. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Taking personal accountability.
Yes.
Because until I became aware of that personal accountability for my energy, I had no idea that I could stop it as quickly as I could.
That's right. It's a thought. It's a moment.
Literally is a thought.
Yeah. And, it's the same thought and moment and quicker second to go into the negative version of energy, right? And let's be clear. I'm not saying that we don't have emotions that are negative. That's a healthy emotion. If you're grieving somebody, this is a healthy negative emotion. These aren't the things we're talking about. We're talking about the energy that maybe someone's gossiping about somebody behind their back, and now that person's feeling sick and oh my God, I don't know. Or, we've all walked into a room and we thought, okay, everybody stopped and they're looking at you and it feels weird in here. I'm just going to go back outside.
Let me get back into my shell.
That's that negative energy we're speaking of.
Yes.
The illnesses, the going through a divorce and feeling the emotions from that, and or raising a child that has special needs. The grief, as I mentioned, all of those things are very healthy negative emotions.
Yeah.
And those are different.
Yeah. And I agree that I think as well, like you should experience those emotions.
You have to.
You have to.
It's
you
part
have to
of the
embrace
lesson.
it. Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what signs should the viewers at home look for to help them recognize when they're in a vortex of someone else's negative energy?
So this is a big one, and health usually hits it first. So if you're looking at, upset stomach, if you think back, maybe you're raising children, or maybe you were that child that, I have a sore stomach, I can't go to school today, I have a sore stomach. Girls are famous for this, where, that age group. So you may have headaches, you may have stomach aches, you may have all of those things. So physically you want to watch, what is my body saying to me? Like, my body's speaking to me, so what's it saying? Does it feel happy? And if it doesn't, then where is it coming from and why?
Yeah.
And then what can I do and take personal accountability to stop this? And this comes with aging, and this comes with maturity in your spiritual growth. So when you're okay to approach somebody and say, Liz, you looked at me weird. Is it okay? Like, did I say something? Because I didn't intentionally mean something. And you're like, oh my God, no, I saw a spirit walk by. What's going on? Like, those are the things that take the fear out of it and approach somebody and have a very constructive conversation with them. Now, there are some instances in which you won't be able to do that. And in that case, you remove yourself from this cycle, right? So if there's people that are just like vamping your energy. And when I say vamping, we use the term in our spiritual world as vampire.
Yeah.
Not the Halloween kind.
Yeah.
But the vampire who sucks all our energy. And when that happens, you have to take yourself out of that situation. So, you're not going to the same store to grab your stuff at the same time someone is going to be there, or you change desks, or you do, maybe you're not seeing that friend just quite as often as you normally would. And so just being mindful of what you're doing and how you're feeling, what's your body saying, and follow your intuition. Your gut is going to literally tell you if it's that person that's sending it or not. And again, intentional versus unintentional is hugely important to understand, because sometimes we don't know, and that's why we're talking today. We don't know how powerful our energy is to manifest things and to create obstacles and blocks. And that's what we hope to talk about today and understand. Yeah.
Well, you touched on an important one there in the beginning there. You said that, people aren't intentionally sometimes, and intentionally sending out negative energy, and then communicate. That's the key word here today.
That's right. Communicate.
The communication aspect is huge. And that's just for everyday living.
That's right.
But with energy, it's huge, because somebody could have had I'll use my husband as an example. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but he could have had a terrible day.
That's
and
right.
He'll walk through the door and I feel it like a wall coming at me. And he has no ill will towards me, but his energy is like amped.
That's right.
So we feel that, especially people who are a little bit more sensitive. I mean, we're all sensitive. Let me be clear. Every single one of you is sensitive.
That's right.
Some of us are a little bit more severely sensitive than others.
Yes.
And so that kind of thing, I would have taken personally back in the day.
That's right.
Right? And so that's how communication opened the doors for us, because I would say, what's the deal? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And then he would start explaining it. I always took other people's negative energy personally.
That's right. And that's the big key here. That's where that moment is able to stop, and you're like, okay, wait a second. It's okay that my husband or my daughter is having a negative emotion because of a bad day or a stressful thing. I don't need to take it. That's the empath. That's the empath. Yeah. I'll take that on for you. It's okay. I'll be upset. You just be happy, okay? Because I'm better and happier when you're not miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're able to understand that, but just allowing them to have their space and know. But your energy introduces yourself before your physical body does.
Sure does.
And so that is a huge factor. When you're introducing yourself to somebody, it's, even that common phrase, first impressions, are, I don't know, you can't change a first impression, whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it is about the idea that what your energy is speaking about at that moment is so acutely sensitive that person has now programmed their energy to receive that from you all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's really important that you are understanding to kind of put yourself out there in your best friend. And I always say, because, when you're dealing with family members and friends, we kind of can give them, we're all guilty of this. They get our worst.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
do.
For sure.
Yeah. So they're going to get like, oh my goodness, I had a bad day and now you're making me angry because you didn't do dinner. And, it's everybody else's fault, right?
Yeah.
But when you take that accountability and be like, wow, I just really had a bad day. I'm glad to see you. Or, just knowing you can't dump this is the unintentional part. So you've had a bad day and now you're dumping it on a friend or family member. And that now becomes their energy to carry. And it is literally thick in the room. Yeah. Like you can cut it with a knife, energy. So it's much. Have you ever been to a surprise party, Liz?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Last night, maybe?
Last night? This is a perfect time to bring up this example.
It is a great example,
because the people that were waiting for you, even from the moment that they started planning, waiting for this moment to come, that's the energy of anticipation. So for all of you viewers out there that have ever had a surprise party and you're like, oh my goodness, my stomach is in knots, it's crazy. That's that energy of the anticipation of it. So if you can feel the energy of, the excitement of waiting for a surprise party, or you can feel the energy of your husband or wife being in a bad mood, you certainly can feel other energies as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So true. Well, let's get to the next one that's kind of interesting. What are some tips that you use to control your energy? What are some of those tips? You're like, thanks, Liz.
Despite locking myself in a cave. Besides that. Just
in there.
Yeah. Those are those moments, like I love being around people, but I also am so happy being alone. I'm so happy sometimes. And
guilty.
At when you're doing so many things, and this was something that I had to take personal accountability for, because when you have, 5 children, or you're in school, or you're having a career, and you're running a house, and you're married, and you have all these, aging parents or sick grandparents or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. Even just saying that, like, whoop. But when you're doing that and you're not taking a moment in between, even 5 minutes, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, have a shower, go outside, stand and let the breeze blow over your body. Any of those things will reset your energy just like that. It does not mean you have to lock yourself in the bedroom and do a 1-hour meditation. You don't have to do that.
No.
You don't.
No, you're right.
Yeah, you don't. So my favorite is being outside and letting the sun soak on me, and then just feeling the breeze, because that breeze energetically removes all the energy away and recycles it for something good.
I find if I kind of retreat in the home, which was I used to do that. I used to retreat to a room in the home. The same energy is still there.
Oh yeah.
So getting outside is and inhaling fresh oxygen.
Yeah.
That's huge. I will do the deep inhale, and and while I'm doing that, I just like let it go. Yeah. In my mind, just let it go.
Gone.
Release it. It's not part of you. It's not part of whatever's going on in the situation. That can be trauma, anger, sadness, you name it. You can use that.
And the thing is that what we're stuck in is how that made me feel. How did that make me feel? That's what we're stuck in. We actually aren't even aware that moment of that feeling has gone already.
Gone.
You're like 15, 20 minutes gone out of that. Like
exactly.
You don't need to relive it and go through that trauma of that emotion again in that energy. So understand, you can be like, okay, that was really bad. I lived through it. It's good. It's done. But now today it's over, and I can start looking into something different. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have to view the world in rainbows and butterflies all the time. It just means being, what quality of life do you want to have, and take accountability for it. If you want to be happy, you can be happy. You certainly can. Yeah. It's all an intention and a thought.
And I guarantee you've had this said to you as well, because it's said to me often. How are you so happy? How are you how is things so good for you?
Yeah. They're not.
Right?
They're not. I have my fair share. Do you
it's okay,
have
we're
your
live.
Share fair?
It's good.
When we have those moments, it's not about that we didn't have horrific things happen, or that we don't continue to struggle every day. It's about that moment of, how can I get out of that feeling, because I hate that feeling so much that I'd rather be in the happy state. And if my smile can help one person this week, then I did my job.
And you've probably seen this as well, like that ripple effect, like you were talking at the very beginning. And I challenge everybody to do this that's watching this video, to go out today and just try smiling. Try it. Yeah. Just give it a shot. No matter how angry or frustrated or whatever, just give it a shot. Raise that, the corners of your mouth and say hi to some stranger, like have a lovely day, anything to shift where your head is at in that energy. And then pay attention to that. What happens, the ripple effect. It's amazing to watch.
And even to the point where if you have had, now if we think of musicians, I was just watching a movie and a musician had a very challenging moment, but they still had to get up on stage and perform.
Yes.
How do you get in that mindset? They don't have a perfect life either.
Yeah.
And so they have to be like, all right, what am I doing? I'm taking a deep breath. I'm walking around. Maybe somebody's on a treadmill for 5 minutes before they get on. They amp themselves up. Like, music also changes energy so much, which is a whole other story. So I go for drives, listen to music, have the windows down, let that breeze, the sun, all of those things are amazing. But you know what? It boils down to, it doesn't matter what you do with your energy. It doesn't matter. As long as you change your action in the moment you're feeling that negative emotion. You have to change your action.
Yeah. Oh, you got a couple of questions?
A few questions and some comments. Ann Jackson says good morning and thank you for sharing. And
good morning, Ann.
Pam Ferguson says, I have to make a real effort to change my energy. With the loss of my son 1.5 years ago, it only takes a song or a memory popping into my mind, and I feel myself slipping into a sad space.
Yes, and that
absolutely.
And you're
sorry
supposed
for your
to.
Loss, Pam.
Yeah, and absolutely, Pam. I'm so sorry for your loss. I actually know Pam.
Do you? Good.
Yeah. The thing is, you're supposed to experience sadness. That's never going to change. I think you will always feel that sadness, but your job is in life to seek out your own joys and happinesses, and that's easy for me to say when you've just experienced such a traumatic loss. But in memory of him, he's not going to want you to be living in sadness all the time. And I know Pam doesn't. Like, I'm using that as an example.
As an example, yeah.
For others watching. Pam is probably one of the strongest chicks I know, actually. But what would you say to Pam on that?
Okay, so this is the moment where I can't control energy. So now I'm
let him come in. Good.
So
I was hoping
Pam,
you would.
You are so amazing as a human being.
She is.
Before you experience this tragedy and today, and so you are sharing your wisdom. You are sharing your heart and your love and your truth with everybody else. And so your son's passing has given you that opportunity to share that even further. So you know what? Keep shining for everybody. Keep shining for your family. And when you do have those emotions, the thing is when we do hear that song and it switches us back to feeling that the grief or the love. We're missing the person's physical body. It's them being there in that moment with us to remind us that they are there, and that's why you're feeling those emotions, and that's why it's so quick. Yes. Because it's not your brain recalling the sadness; it's the energy of your loved one that's around you that's making you feel their emotions.
Yeah, that's actually beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely.
And sorry, who said good morning first?
The good morning, that was Pam. Pam did say good morning as well before Ann, but it was Ann Jackson.
Ann Jackson, good morning.
Yeah.
Hi, Ann.
And then aside from that, a couple of people asking for the vibes you're getting off of them.
The vibes.
I have a feeling you get that question all the time.
All the time.
You know what? I think this is my answer. And just because every time somebody asks me something, I don't come up with it in my brain. That's the difference when you're getting spiritually guided. If someone's asking what vibes are you getting off of me right now, I already know they're so aware of themselves that it's going to be a good vibe because they're already conscious of what they're putting out.
Yeah.
So keep vibing.
Keep on vibing, folks. Keep on vibing.
That was Melanie L. McDonald wanting to know about her vibes. And then the last comment we have is Sharon Moody says, Hello, girls. Anything you can tell me about my health? Thank you so much.
Ooh, what do you know about
my
Sharon's
goodness.
health?
I don't really like answering health questions, but I do feel that this is like an adrenal thing with her. So I'm going to go there with this. Like I'm just going to take it on. So Sharon, I think we have an adrenal issue. So we've got circulation issues. And I also feel like we are, I think we're lacking in, I can't discern if it's B or D. So if you already have a deficiency, you're probably or likely not taking the medication for it. But that's what I'm getting it like throughout the body, like circulation. So what are you picking?
Okay, so usually, part of what I also do is like medical mediumship, and always say you need to see a doctor. We're not doctors, okay?
Yeah,
just
that's
FYI.
Thank you.
But when Ryan asked us that question on your behalf, I started to feel sweaty, and so the palms of my hands and in my arms are sorry folks, are starting to sweat. That is actually my symbol for the adrenal system.
Oh,
so
okay.
the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the thyroid, your whole hormonal system. But what I was looking at even further was the throat and the neck area. And so this could just also be energy which is blocked up in there. So you just want to be mindful. So singing, art, dancing, talking your truth or getting something off your chest, that will open that up, and then the energy will be able to flow a bit more. And then otherwise just keep an eye on your left hip, because I'm feeling like a shooting pain going down my back into my leg.
Okay. Well,
That's
there you
just
go.
off. Like,
Yeah.
quick.
There we go.
The quick version.
So, like that's an interesting thing. So like health is, let's touch that, because you mentioned at the beginning that health is definitely a byproduct of negative energy.
Absolutely.
Or it's a byproduct of positive energy.
That's right.
When somebody becomes ill, they say it's a disease of the body. And if we are constantly living in turmoil, overwhelm, anger, frustration, any of those like negative emotions, well, some of them aren't negative, but they just, you're not getting out of that energy.
Yes.
You're hanging out there.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, you're in the bitter barn.
Yes.
If you're hanging out there, the body cannot tolerate that much intense. It's like there was a study done, and I want to say the guy's name was Iramoto or something like that. Do you remember? Did you ever hear about the water experiment?
So it's so funny because just in my head I was thinking of the plant experiment.
The plant experiment as well.
Yeah.
That's a prime example.
Yeah.
So we should talk about that for those that haven't heard of it, because I'll talk about the water when you bring up the plant one. Because folks, the water experiment was, and don't quote me exactly on what the experiment was because I have terrible recall memory, but the gist of it was this Japanese professor took 3 glasses of water from the same source, looked at them all under the microscope prior to running the test, and they all had the exact same look under the microscope. He then placed them in a gymnasium on 3 walls. So he had 3 glasses of water, 1 on each wall, and he instructed all the students in the gymnasium in the college or university to walk through the gymnasium and stop at each glass of water and read the sign in front of it. And that was all they were instructed to do. They were asked to not speak during the whole experiment. And basically, so 1,000 students marched through this gymnasium in a line and read the placards in front of each glass of water. And the first one said, "I love you. You're amazing. Everything about you is just, can't stand it." So again, I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
The next glass said, "You are such a great friend to me. I can't stand how wonderful it is. Like, you're amazing. I love you. Well, you're my best friend." And the third one said, "I hate you. You disgust me. You're despicable. Everything about you is gross." So you can imagine, nobody's speaking, nobody's touching the water. There's a security guard next to each glass, so nobody can put anything in them. At the end of the experiment, each glass was then, taken in for study. But what you need to know is the third glass was murky and had gone cloudy and murky.
Yeah.
And when they looked at them under the microscope, they had formed, the first 2, the love and the friendship one, had formed these beautiful snowflake-like crystals. Mm-hmm. And the love one was more elaborate than the friendship one. But the one that was, I hate you one, actually had like, it looked like shards of glass. Now, this study can be found online. You can Google this.
Right.
Japanese water study. They just did another one, not too long ago, and it was ignored. They had a fourth glass that was ignored.
Oh.
So, right? Like, so you know how, and we're all guilty as parents to, just give me a minute, guys. You know, like, we'll ignore our children, or we'll ignore coworkers, or we'll ignore somebody.
Right.
Or you've ever been in a store and you've ignored people that are, standing at a cashier. Instead of saying good morning, you're ignoring them. That one was worse than the I hate you.
Oh, yeah, because they weren't receiving any energy at all. It was nothing.
Exactly. So now think if the body, I think it's 80% water.
Yeah.
What is that doing to the body? And if you're channeling
DNA.
That on yourself, okay, so explain that plant one.
So I love that, because that's the same thing that I was thinking about this morning about the plant experiment, in which we had, 2 plants, and they both were beautiful. And one was watered regularly or whatever, don't ask me about watering plants because I'm no good at that, but whatever you're supposed to do was happening. And the same idea. So the owner was saying, I love you. You're beautiful. Oh, keep growing and flourishing. And then the other one watered the exact same way, but I hate you. I don't like you. You're not even growing that right. Like, where's your flowers? Nothing. So both of them. And then the one that was talked nice to was flourished. And the one that was talked down to was dead. And so it definitely changes your DNA inside, and how we change and grow in our body changes. And so when we think about cell division and things like that, we're getting into how do our cells physically change to manifest disease when we're in that. And, the thing is that we all have to understand that even when you're connecting to energy, and it's not a negative thing. So for instance, as I just explained, when we were answering the question, I started to get physical changes. Yeah. That's not something that I stay in, so it goes away. Right. But I think that if you knew how good you feel when you feel like peaceful and that everything's going good, that you would want to be in that feeling, in that vibe. Because when you're in that, it's very fluid. You can get more psychic messages. So you can follow your 100%. Intuition way much better than if you were in a negative spot all the time, because you can't hear it. You can't feel it. You're too busy being in that trauma moment.
You're hanging out under a cloud. That's the best way to describe it.
So if you want to, we'll challenge you to that too. Take these plants or take the water, try them, see how it works out.
Do the plant experiment. I did that. Because one of the things that always concerns me, especially with children, and I see it when I'm out in public, how parents talk to their children. Ugh. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have given my kid, some mouthfuls.
Some what for?
Yeah, some what for. My grandchildren, I've had to discipline. You have to discipline children. That's an obvious no-brainer.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. However, taking what a child does personally, and that's what I see, a lot of times parents will take it personally, and it's like, the kid's 3. You have no idea. Or the kid's 7 or 10 or 15. I wish someone had given me that advice when I was younger, right? You too?
Yeah.
Don't take parenting personally.
That's right.
Your kids are not a reflection of you. They are the best and worst of you.
So this is why I do all of these parenting, mother and baby.
That's a great class, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited. Actually, Tracy Kennedy is joining me for a workshop that I'm doing to raise funds for Jillian's Place, if I can say that.
Yeah, yes, please do.
Yes. And so one of the reasons why is because especially as an empath parent, you do expect your children are an extension of you. If they're hurt, you're hurt. If they did something bad, oh my God, you embarrassed me, what the heck? But what actually is it's so far from the truth, because that soul is here to do what it's supposed to do for you or for the rest of the world. And so you're just supposed to be guiding and protecting these people to get them to that point. So if you can kind of change your mindset a little bit and think like, if I'm understanding the energy between me and my 10-year-old child the way that I expect my, I'm not going to say age, but my mother at my 41-year-old self, I wouldn't expect it to be the same. It's different. And if you think about the relationships between your parents as you're older versus when we're younger, that relationship has changed. So if you can kind of get yourself already into that space of what you're loving and respecting that child as its own individual self, because they're not you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is huge, right?
Yeah.
Well, we kind of went a little bit, away. That's my fault. I apologize, but I'm sure we did
It's
it
all
for
energy.
a reason.
That's right.
One of the big misconceptions is that I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this energy. And we kind of touched on that, but when somebody is stuck, we gave them some tips. Like you have to mindfully do it. No one's gonna come in. No superhero is gonna go.
Stop.
Here we go. Stop. We're gonna give you everything.
I love being with you, because this is what I was going to say. I got it. I was like, if you're stuck, the only thing that you have to do is stand like a superhero.
Yeah.
Stand like the superhero. You've got this.
Yeah.
Like, you're Superman.
Yeah.
You're your own superhero.
Right.
So no superhero will come, but you need to be your own.
You need to do that for you.
Try that pose. I'm telling you, you might feel ridiculous like I just was, but for the effect. Because it makes you feel powerful. And if you're not going to be the superhero of your own life, then who the heck will be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you just used a key phrase again, powerful.
Yeah.
We all want to feel powerful. And I can guarantee you there is not a person on the planet that doesn't have weakness moments.
Yes.
And those of us that hang out in that negativity or that, overwhelm or sadness or whatever, they're thinking that they're broken. That's the one thing that drives me so sad, like an insanely sad way with the human race, is that so many people feel that they're broken and they can't be fixed.
That's right. No one's broken.
No one is broken.
No one's broken.
You're having a human experience.
That's right.
Like for Pam, for example, it breaks my heart, but this is part of her plan and her son's plan and her other children's plan and her. So it's a very sad state, a very sad story actually. Her son, he had just become a father 2 days, I think, after he passed. So it was a very sad. So she's dealing with a lot.
Of course she is.
But she is the most bubbly, lovely human being. And so actually, Pammy, we're bringing you back in if she's still on. The fact that you are consciously aware that you're, like you had said earlier, the fact that you're consciously aware that these moments overtake you, embrace them.
Yeah.
But don't hang out there.
Yeah, let them happen.
Yeah.
Give it its minute and then let it go.
Yeah.
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 And by letting it go does not disconnect you from the love of your family.
Right.
It doesn't. It whether they're living or past, you don't need to keep yourself in a negative space in order to prove your love to somebody.
Right.
You don't. And so it just actually allows you to feel their love to you more when you release yourself from that emotion.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Well, let's have a look and see what else we had on point here. Okay.
We pretty much covered a lot of it already.
I know. I think we have, right? So as we both know, spirit is the purest form of energy. What tips can you give those at home who wish to connect with their loved ones? And that kind of goes with kind of the direction this show's kind of gone in.
Yeah.
Talking about that. Let's talk about the first, can you give us the 3 types of energy that we're exploring today? And then, of course, answer that question.
Okay, so
Not too
we
much.
have in my 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the energy of the environment. So this would be like a feng shui type law. So I am saying law because the law of the universe, but where the feng shui, so your home, your workspace, all of that, that's so important. And then you've got your energy of your own personal aura, your being, your essence, whatever you want to call it. You've got that. And then you also have the energy of the people that are deceased. So the living that have passed. The angels, the guides, the spiritual realm in which you can sense in. So, so your question was to see how you connect to those people.
How can you connect to that spirit energy? which is quite different from the other energies we've been discussing.
Absolutely. So the spiritual energy, I think it's kind of like all one and the same. Like, I mean, when you have that great thought that pops into your head, most likely it's your spiritual, guidance that's coming in, or that gut feeling, that's your spiritual guidance as well. So when you're actually being mindful of how open and fluid and high your vibration is. Now, when I say your vibration, we're all vibrating. If you've ever stood in a line at a department store and all of a sudden you're like, what is that? And you look and someone's right in your space. They didn't touch you, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
So we're raising that vibration. So if you're at a higher level, so when I'm doing a reading and you as well, I'm sure, you have to get yourself into that space. You can't just walk around all miserable and expect everything's coming to you. So you have to change your energy and raise your vibration. So one, do that. That would be, embracing anything that you love doing. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you love it and you're happy while you're doing it. And then you allow those thoughts to pop into your head. And the biggest thing here is you're already getting them. So you just have to trust that what you're receiving is coming. You might do a meditation and allow yourself to wander. Usually when you're waking up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, that's the greatest time for your energy to kind of shift into that kind of half awake, half asleep mode.
Favorite times of the day.
And in the shower or bath. Those are huge times in which spirit will come in and demand your attention.
It happens, right?
For sure.
And let's tell them why. For those at home, why does that happen like that?
Because you have, speaking for myself, my door is locked. I have 5 minutes alone. I know no one is going to bother me, come in, need me for anything. And so when that happens, you get to be relaxed. And when you're relaxed and the water's so cleansing, and the water itself is high vibration, so it's going to be attracted to it. So that's why most of us love to go sit by water, just to be on the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So true, right?
Yeah,
so it's it's a high conductive thing. That's why this area, right?
Yeah.
We're surrounded by water. This area is it's perfect.
Everywhere you go is water.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're in the Niagara region for those of you who are watching from different parts of the world. So we are surrounded by the Great Lakes. We have Niagara Falls, that kind of thing. So
the falls
very
is
lucky.
its own energy,
right? It's like a huge energy shield there. I think we've covered it.
I think so too.
I really do. Yeah. Was there any other questions, Ryan?
I think that's basically it. There's a couple of messages that came in, but I think we're good.
All right.
Perfect.
Show.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that for us, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think the gist of this, thank you so much, Amber.
Ryan, you have amazing energy, by the way. Your vibration's so high, so keep rocking it. Yeah. And thanks for having me, Liz.
It's been so much fun.
Yes,
and such a great topic to sit down and discuss with you.
Absolutely.
Folks at home, thank you for joining us for this show. Remember to follow some of the, you don't have to do all of them.
No.
Just try the smile. Do the Superman pose. Do something different. If you find that you're hanging out in that, negative energy, or someone around you is hanging out in negative energy and it's just bringing you down, be honorable to yourself. Take yourself out of the equation, or replace your energy with something positive. See and look for only positive things, and you will be surprised at how quickly that can happen for you. Before I go, I should show this, the Gifted Ones. I should really do this. Amber, as I mentioned in her bio, is the host of the Spiritual Excellence Halo Awards. And the Gifted Ones, this show, was actually the winner of the Spiritual Liaison Award.
I'm so proud of all of you.
Oh my gosh. And how many votes came in for that?
Oh my God. So there was over 14,000 votes for all the categories. And so your show was voted on by peers. This wasn't my choice. The peers voted and they were heard, and you guys got the most votes.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Can't even tell you how shocked I was. But we also came top 5 in a number of other awards. So I'm just going to share those quickly. We got Spiritual Writer Composer, Amber Price's Spiritual Excellence Award, top 5, and Spiritual Artisan, the Gifted Ones. And this show isn't possible without you viewers. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all again on the next show. Until then, smiles, great energy. Love you.